The thing that deeply moves me about cinema is to see 200 people in the mud under the rain trying to create poetry together. I love to surround myself by people that are there because they love cinema, not because they love themselves. If you want to do it with me, unfortunately, the only way I can do it is my way.
I need time to make sure that any ideas has deep roots inside me.
For the first time, I think I did this movie for a single audience member, which is me.
We were teenagers, we were dreaming big, we were very arrogant, very pretentious teenagers. Make sure that I will not disappoint myself was not easy because, I dreamt big.
You don't have a lot of time to think on the set, so all the meaning has to come from prep. The more I think artists are interesting, the more humble they are very often.
I had time to make sure that what we were doing will endure the test of time for me.
Do as the best as you can do to stay intact, meaning protect your integrity, protect your identity. Protect your identity, stay yourselves, try to be yourself and make no compromise. That's what I will say, yeah. The thing I love about cinema is teamwork. I love when I love to share creativity. I love it. The thing that deeply moves me about cinema is to see 200 people in the mud under the rain trying to create poetry together. And so much effort, so much work for art. That deeply touched me. I put a red tape on the floor. I said, I don't want no mad narcissistic ego on this side, okay? No, but seriously, there's people that have bad reputations. It's too tough to make a film. It's too difficult. I prefer to work with, the more I think artists are interesting, the more humble they are very often. Like someone like Hugh Jackman. Roger Deakins is a very, very, very humble man, But at the same time, he's a genius. I mean, I love to surround myself by people that are there because they love cinema, not because they love themselves. It's like two different things.
It's that at the end of the day, technology or the exotism of the world building, it's something that is just there to receive as an impact and an impact that will have an influence on the inner journey of the character. And what I'm interested by is that introspective journey that at the end of the day, when you make a movie, it's an exploration of the human condition or some elements of that will touch people in their lives. Meaning, the story of Dune is relevant because it has a relevance in our human experience. So it's like what I'm trying. Maybe I'm taking detour right now to just say that it's the human journey that interests me.
Yeah.
The science fiction, what is interesting is that it's a tool that allows you to bring that human journey and put it in a context where you're totally free to express yourself about more difficult subject or more abrasive subjects sometimes. Otherwise, at the end of the very art of things, it's the human experience, and that is interesting.
The biggest challenge doing Dune was by far to deal and master with Timothée's hair. No, because it's alive, and you guys don't know. Okay, sorry. The biggest challenge I will say was to try to find a balance between the book is so rich, and it's a book that takes all its strength into its details, and it was really to try to find an equilibrium between the information that someone that doesn't know the book at all. The amount of information that the audience that don't know the book, the amount of information they will need to understand the movie, without crushing them with exposition, and trying to be, of course, as cinematographic as possible. So it's like that was the big challenge, not trying to find the right amount of information so the audience could follow the story correctly and follow this adventure. We constructed that chamber and the tunnel. It was a real set. It really created something sacred for the actor. They really felt that because of the nature of the matter, the colors, the lighting was so strong. It was like a massive white screen, one source of light that was inspired by James Turrell installation. And it was basically a Balinese theater. You have that big white screen. So what if I put just silhouettes, so I had two puppeteers with like long poles and with like shapes to feel just that there's nothing and suddenly something appears, like a dark shadow that comes more and more strong and then float around. And it was eerie, strange and beautiful. Even if it was like very primitive, it really helped the actors. And most of the scene, they were wearing those huge hazmat suit, and the only way to communicate with them was with microphones. So it was creating that they felt like astronauts, and I was very close. I was chatting in their ears all the time, describing them, the scenes, and so it was like an interactive, it felt like an experimental installation. For the first time, I think I did this movie for a single audience member, which is me.
I discovered the book when I started to get interested about what is happening behind the camera, what is the job of the actor, around the beginning of my teens, I really got obsessed with this idea of a cinema, of being a filmmaker. And Dune happened almost in the same. I read the book in that period of time, and me and my best friend at the time were dreaming about movies, being inspired by great filmmakers, and we both together started to draw what could be a Dune movie. But of course, it was just fantasy. It was just like we were teenagers. We were dreaming big. We were very arrogant, very pretentious teenagers. And when I landed, but that was something that was out of reach for me until life is strange sometimes, and I never thought I would work in Hollywood, but it happened. And when you are in Hollywood, then you can start to dream big. That's the beauty of that system. And when people were asking me, what would be one of your ultimate dream? And the answer was always Dune. I had time to make sure that what we were doing will endure the test of time for me. That it makes sense for the rest of my life. It's like it was the big challenge for me in this movie was to try to please that teenager that back then. And to make sure that I will not disappoint myself. It sounds weird to say, but
no, it's not at all.
Made this movie for me, and for the massive Dune fan I was a freak, frankly, and make sure that I will not disappoint myself was not easy because I dreamt big.
How did you get Deakins?
That is the answer is I think is incredible. I got Deakins because Deakins wanted to work with me. It's just I met him at the Academy Awards. There's a ceremony before the Academy Awards, which is called the Scroll ceremony, where they take the 5 Oscar nominee for Best Foreign Film, and it's like 400 people, and they invite you there, and it's just a nice ceremony where a filmmaker will take your film in front of everybody and talk about the movie, why he loved the movie, and introduce you to the family of filmmakers of Hollywood. So like just a get-together cocktail, but it's a nice event. It's very warm and nice. And the person who introduced Incendies was Roger Deakins, and he said so much beautiful thing about this movie. And I remember that my cinematographer André Turpin was really moved because Deakins was one of his heroes, and me, I couldn't believe it's because he's such a master. I was so impressed and so honored that he was willing to talk in a good way about Incendies. and then Roger was curious about my work. He went and saw my previous work and asked his agent what is good guys doing next. And then he read Prisoners, liked it, loved it, and so he asked his agent to meet me. So I was flying to LA to meet cinematographers, and then I received this phone call from my producer. They said, "Oh, there's another one who would like to meet you. His name is Roger Deakins." So I had that serious. I was in a room in a surrealistic moment, the most surrealistic moment of my life, where I was in front of Roger Deakins, and he was trying to convince me to work with him. I thought it was the opposite. Anyway, the thing is, I think it's the only way I was able to get Roger Deakins is because he wanted to work with me. Otherwise, it would just stay a dream.
But I had time. That's the thing about this movie. I had a nice time to write and to prep the movie and to make sure that the world is solid and very slow. I need time to make sure that ideas any ideas as deep roots inside me. I don't like to improvise new ideas on the spot. I like when talking about casting and talking about design.
And on the set, I don't like to intellectualize too much. I mean, it's very important to go through all the ideas before, because it's very important, because cinema is a lot about planning. So you cannot, the more you plan, the more you can improvise. But in order to improvise, you have to be, the ideas are to be very clear in advance. And so that's why with the cinematographer, production designer, everybody, and all the actors, all the intellectual discussion are in prep. After that, on the set, we go to war, we shoot. We don't have time to, in a way, we have time. It's you don't have a lot of time to think on the set. So all the meaning has to come from prep. I think that one of the key elements for tension is that you need to bring in the screen, in the image, something that is the audience will relate to from a subconscious point of view, that an element that will bring reality. It can be light, it can be a plant, it can be something that will make the shots feel that, like in a dream, there's something real there. And light is very strong for that. That's why I love Roger so much, is that this idea of bringing as much nature in front of the camera as possible, so your brain feels that's what you're about to see could be real.
So how did you end up doing Prisoners? How did you?
It's a very boring answer. It's just I read tons of scripts. And after Polytechnique, a movie I made 2 movies ago, I began to receive scripts from Hollywood, and the Polytechnique was not a movie that was had a wide release, but that was well received by other filmmakers or agency or producers.
Denis, I want to ask you the last question. Many of us, and I know you've got some old long-term friends here as well, many of us would have grown up alongside your films and seen you work in independent films out of Montreal, and then increase the scale and the scope and the reach of your movies. Is there anything that you can say to people who have that kind of ambition, who may be working in small independent films, lower budget films, but really want to get to the kind of scale and scope that you're working at now? How did you do it, and what can you say to people who are looking to do that?
I asked this question once to Martin Scorsese, because before I went to Hollywood, and he said to me, stay intact. Try to do as the best as you can do to stay intact, meaning protect your integrity, protect your identity. Protect your identity, stay yourself, try to be yourself and make no compromise. That's what I would say, yeah.